There are times where you just want to build your website super fast, no wasting time. And there is a solution in Divi 5. Let me show you quickly. So you'd come over here, open your page, and we have what are known as pre-made layouts. So you could come over here and perhaps let's say it's something to do with fitness. You'd come over here and search for fitness. Okay, so what comes out here is quite a lot of pages that you can work with. So let's say I choose this one right here and then I say use this layout. Now, I have imported a layout so fast that I can start working on it. So the only thing that we need to do here is to not import the presets. And I will let you know in a moment why that is important. Okay, so now I'm going to say import, and this now is going to import that page layout. So at this point, you may be thinking, but Mac, you know what? I have a page, it's complete, everything is great. But what if I have my own design system? How does that work? And this is what I'm going to share with you today, because out of the box, these pre-made layouts are not production ready. Okay, they may seem like they're production ready, but they're not, because the spacing is not correct. And some of this text here is also in pixels, of which they need to be in clamp. So let's start here and make all our edits. So I'm going to start off with this text right here. So as you can see on the top here, it is labeled as text. And if I come over here, this is where they've entered the text. And you know what? This is where the heading 1 has been added. So ideally, this is not the way it should be done. Okay, so if I come over here to design, I want to show you something else that is not supposed to be done this way. So if I go into text, you'll notice that we have our text size here. And in fact, I'm on the wrong place. I need to come over here on the heading. So this is where we have the text size, and you can see the text size is set to 5VW. This is not industry standard. Now we need to be using clamp, which is right here, but it needs to be within your design system. So whenever you're going to use these pre-made layouts, do not use them out of the box and just change the text and say, you know what, I'm done, I'm ready. You need to convert this to production ready standards of website design in 2026. So what I'm going to do here quickly is to go in and add a heading, because this is how it needs to be done properly. I'm going to go in and paste the text. Now I can see here the text needs to be centered to the right. So I'm going to go in here, go into the design heading text, and then I'm just going to align it to the right. Okay, and I'm just going to also make sure that train with Maya green is added correctly. Okay, so now that we have this, we have a design system. Okay, so we can easily now come over here to the top and set this to perhaps display small, like that. When I look at this, I can see that the text here is smaller. So I can make my minor adjustments. Perhaps I want to make it slightly bigger. I can go in and say, okay, let's go with medium. And I think this is what works. So now I can get rid of this one here. And if I need to change the color of this text, I can just go in here, heading text, and then I'm going to say heading light. And by the way, this is using my design system. It's called Crafter Pro. It changes how you design websites with Divi, because it just cuts the production time by possibly 3 or 4 times. Okay, so back over here, let's move on to the next thing. And again, this is some text, and when I look at that, I'm going to come over here and I can see here that it is 14 pixels. But again, these headings are being put in the wrong place. If I click on this, you can see this is set to heading 6, which is not right. Okay, so we need to go and make these minor changes. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to go in here, copy the text and set it to a proper heading 6. So I'm going to click on this plus button, make this a heading. I'm going to paste my text in here, and then I'm going to set this to heading 6. Okay, and now, so I have my text aligned to the right. So I'm going to go in and set this to heading 6 like that. And I'm going to delete the top one. And then of course, I'm going to go in and change the color. So I can see that heading 6 is a bit too small here. I'm going to change this to perhaps maybe even heading 4. And then I'm going to go in and change the color. So over here on design, I'm going to go to heading, and then I'm going to set this to light, okay? Because we have a dark background. The next thing is the button. Now, usually the button is fine. We can leave it as it is. We move on to the next thing, and again, just like how we did before, we can see this is not labeled correctly because by now I can see that the heading is set in over here, and this is heading 2. So again, we want to make sure that everything is standard. So I'm going to go in and click on this plus button, set my heading, and then I'm going to go in and add the name, come over here to design, and we need to center it. So I'm going to go to my heading texts and center it. I can see here we have a duplication. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. Right. So with that now, I have to make a decision whether I should make it bold or not. So to make it bold, I'm just going to come over here, make it bold, and then delete the top one. And then we need to continue doing this. So with this text right here, I'm going to select it because I know this is normal text. And then over here, I'm going to go in and set it to my base. But did you notice that nothing happened when I set it to the base? That is because the size that has been added in here is not clamp based. So let me just prove to you that that's the case. You can see here it's set to 16 pixels, line height 1.8. So we need to remove that. Okay. And then we also need to remove this. Right. So now we have a standard text which is now working with our design system. So with this now, our spacing here is not right because again, if I go in here and try and have a look and see how the spacing has been applied, if I come over here, you can see there's nothing here, right? So what we need to do now is to go into our row settings, we go into contents, elements, and then we go into the column. So this is where we have everything, the image, the heading, the text, and everything, right? So we need to go into design and zero this out. Okay. Again, you notice that nothing happens. This is because everything has been hard coded. So this is where you need to go in and remove where everything is. Now, what I noticed is quite easier to do is to right click and then you want to go to the actual element. So for example, I'm going to say reset attributes, which is right here. So I'm going to say reset style attributes. And you notice now that this has been reset. I'm going to also do the same thing over here. Reset style attributes. Okay. And obviously this is the one that we've just done. So when we do that, it just clears off everything and you can easily now go in and start applying everything that you need. So this can be text large and something has happened here. If I go into my text, oh yeah, I can see that it is hard coded in here as well. Okay. So we need to go in and clear all this to make sure that this complies with how we are designing our layout. So here I'm going to go back in and make sure that it's centered, and this is our text base, and I just want to double check, and yes, this is my size that has been added here. Okay, so the next thing you want to do as well is if you go to the row and right click, you can go to reset style attributes. Now, did you see what happened there? I've removed all the spacing and all the sizing. Now I have the opportunity to go in and add them manually. So make sure that you go into reset and reset style attributes. So now I can go to this button and then I can say, right, you know what? Oops, I need to go to spacing. So I can say margin top small, this one here. I can say margin top, then I can say medium or even large. Okay. All right. So let's get rid of that. Okay. And then the name or this title here and the image, I'm going to select that. And since those are related, I am going to say margin top small. So now the only thing I need to do is to go to my row, set my row properly to wide text width. Okay, because we don't want just text stretching across the whole screen. And then over here now, we need to go in and set our padding for our sections. So again, I am going to right click here and then I'm going to say reset style attributes just to make sure that there's nothing on there. And then over here on the top, I'm going to use my design system and set this to large. And you can see now it has been applied. So just by looking at that, if I do that, you can see now my text is all responsive and everything just looks great. Okay, this is how you make it production ready. So the same thing over here. I just want to make sure that everything looks great. I'm going to select this. In fact, I'm going to go in and reset style attributes. Okay, so now I can quickly go in and add my own image. So in this case, I'm going to select my section settings here, contents, and then over here on the background, I can now go in and add my image. And I mean, I have several images here. Let's say I want to use the one that was there. I can just select it, upload image. Okay. And now with that, I want to go in and make sure that this is extra large, and now my hero section is coming close. So as you can see here, things don't look great because my text is quite difficult to read here. We are just going to make a quick tweak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gradient. Okay, so I'm going to click on this plus button, and on the right I am going to add black, and then on the left here I'm going to add transparency. Okay, so all I need to do now is set this to 90% and place the gradient above background image. Boom. And just like that, our text now is much easier to read. So with this flexibility, I can quickly go in and let's say I want this full screen. I can just say full, and now that has become my full screen, and that is going to look great. So you want to make sure that you go in and make all those changes. And once you do all those changes, your text is going to be responsive and everything is going to look great, because out of the box, you can't just use these designs as they are, okay? Because it won't work. So you can see here, I know it's cutting it out, but the two items that I've worked on are already looking great. My text is responsive and everything looks much, much better. But of course, as I'm looking at this, I think that instead of having it full screen like this, it is better to have it over here on extra large. And if I save this and let's do a quick check, now you can see this is much, much better. So of course you want to test this and see how this is working, and I think this is great. Okay, so this is how you go in and make a change to your design to make it production ready with responsive text and also fluid spacing. This is very, very important. Now I know I've quickly gone in and shown you how everything works super fast. Now I have a course that teaches you how to design websites with Divi 5, and this course is fantastic because it's for beginners and also for anyone that wants to get to know how Divi 5 works. So the course is right here. You head over to diviuniversity.com and go to courses. The course is called Divi 5 Mastery. Already there is 1,279 students, which, I mean, this is a lot of students. So this course only costs $37. It's a one-off payment, and I constantly add all the lessons to keep this course up to date. And this course is going to help you if you want to get up and running with Divi 5, because as you can imagine, Divi was built from the ground up, and it can be quite difficult to familiarize yourself with the new interface and quite frustrating. So this course takes away all that frustration. So head over there. There's also a community of Divi users. So when you head over to diviuniversity.com, we also have a community which is absolutely free. There's over 3,000 people in this community, and it is really, really awesome. So as you can see here, there's questions. I post lessons. People are asking and sharing information and so on. So head over there and be a part of this community. Divi is awesome. I've been using it for many, many years, and I think it is a really, really good page builder. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.